Well, hello there, YouTube. I made a level 200 PvP build for invasions in Elden Ring just a little while ago, and my initial thought, was to make a quality build. I like quality builds. Quality build means you just level up strength and dex just about the same. Because of the way two-handing your weapon gives you a 1.5 times multiplier to your strength, it's always better to give the higher stat to your dexterity. So we have 70 strength and 80 dex on our level 200 quality build. Now, level 200 hitting 70-80 is pretty bonkers. But if you wanted to, you could probably make something slightly over meta level that had, like 50-50, and then drink your Wondrous Physic for 60-60, and then with talismans, maybe you could figure something out. The Ash of War on the Bloodhound Fang, which is our weapon of choice today, is doing a lot of damage. We have Alexander's Shard, so yeah, just the first hit does a lot of damage. This is a very good quality weapon, the Bloodhound Fang. It's a curved greatsword for quality builds. And if any of you were familiar with the videos I used to make during Dark Souls 3, I made several videos going over the Murakumo. The Murakumo is a weapon that has appeared in every From Software game, even Armored Core. It means Cloud Cutter, and it's typically a curved greatsword, except for in Armored Core. But in Elden Ring, we don't have the Murakumo, but we do have the Bloodhound Fang. I would add that there's several other weapons that have appeared in every From Software game, and we don't have them in Elden Ring. And a part of me wonders if they will get the Bloodborne Holy Moonlight treatment, where we see them appear in a DLC expansion. The Moonlight Sword, also a weapon that always appears in From Software games. And then in Bloodborne, they didn't give it to us, and instead we got it in a DLC. I'm curious if something similar is in store for weapons like the Murakumo and the Chaos Blade. But I digress, and we go back to the Bloodhound Fang. It's a quality scaling curved greatsword. The only thing wrong with this weapon, in my opinion, is it's hard to present pressure on this thing. I have not a lot of poise, so I have to rely on dodging more than I do making trades. Having said that, the curved greatsword hyper armor is very good. The curved greatsword hyper armor is capable of making trades through smaller Ashes of War, like Rivers of Blood, as well as smaller one-handed weapon attacks, like katanas and things like this. Straight swords, curved swords, one-handed. So it's got a lot of hyper armor, despite the fact I don't have a lot of poise on this build. This is not a big poisey build. I've kind of like tapped out on the poise discussion. I'm gonna have builds that are intended to be big poisey boys, but I'm no longer worried about having some minimal threshold poise breakpoint on all of my builds. Being able to poise through arrows and like rapiers that's fine, and that doesn't require much poise. That's about all the poise I want. Anything more than that, I'm probably going to want to dodge, which is a very good, it's almost like poise, except you have to press a button. The curved greatsword does have good hyper armor against smaller weapons, so even without a lot of poise, I'm able to make trades with this thing, which is nice. But then you make the trade, you win the trade because you do insane damage because you have 70-80 stats. And now what? How do you get that finishing blow? this is the problem with the Bloodhound Fang. Now, you can simply swap to a different weapon if you want to. You can offhand a different weapon. In Dark Souls 3, for example, the Mocha Latte, a fantastic invader and uploader here on YouTube, used to run a curved greatsword with an offhand hand axe, and it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. Maybe it's good in this game. I don't know. But the point of this upload and the uploads that will follow are not to talk about setups, but rather the weapons themselves. And I don't want to use setups in these videos. Maybe later. Right now I just want to use the weapons. There's not a lot of quality weapons. There's a bunch of weapons you can put on a quality build because you've got, 70 strength and 80 dex. There's no weapon you can't put on this thing as long as there's no int or fate requirement. That's what makes a quality build fun, is you can just put anything you want on it, which is nice. But there are not a lot of weapons that are distinctly made for this build, and the Bloodhound Fang is one of those, which is why I wanted to try it out. And you can see, hitting a one-handed R1 for 650 damage, 600 damage, is pretty good. My AR, or I forget what it's called in this game. It's not called AR anymore. But my attack rating or attack power, whatever they call it in this game, is right around 900 and something. And that's not split damage. That's all coming from one source, physical damage. That's it. It's not half magic and half physical. It's just pure physical 900 damage, which is pretty good. You can even buff this weapon if you wanted to. You could do it with a spell, or you could do it with a consumable, whatever you want. And you could get that number up even higher. It's a very cool looking weapon. And I really like the Ash of War. And I like that the Ash of War is capable of changing direction. You can start the Ash of War going forward, and then do the other half of the Ash of War going backwards. I would also point out that the one-handed and two-handed moveset is different enough that you might be able to surprise players who know what they're doing. It's not going to matter against players who don't understand anything. Players who don't understand anything, if you try and outsmart them, you're literally just outsmarting yourself. You're not doing yourself any favors. You have to recognize whether or not your opponent is someone who is savvy. And if they're savvy, switching from one-handed to two-handed moveset is different enough that you might actually throw them off a little bit. So that's something to consider. The running attack especially is different. And the running R1, being what it is very different from the running R2. I will rephrase that. The running light attack is different from the running heavy attack. Alternatively, pressing R1 and then inputting a backstep in a reverse direction towards an opponent who rolls away from you, that's a lot of fun and very stylish and cool to look at. It's one of those things that it's not going to hit all the time, but it'll never hit if you don't try it. And it looks cool, so you should probably try it. But yeah, that's the Bloodhound Fang. The good, the bad, and there is no ugly, because it's a very it's an attractive looking weapon. I'd take it out to dinner. I'd buy it shrimp scampi and an appetizer, unless it wanted shrimp scampi as an appetizer, in which case maybe shrimp scampi in a salad. My point is, it looks nice, and it's a good looking weapon. And on this build, it does a lot of damage. Like I said, this is level 200. This is insane. Is there activity here? Yes. Forever. There's tons of activity at level 200. It's wild. But if you don't want to make a level 200 build, you could get rough similar stats at much lower levels, especially using the Wondrous Physic. My Wondrous Physic is for damage reduction and stuff like that. The surprise element of that Ash of War is so nice. It's very fun. I'm going for a lot of dumb plays in this video, doing a lot of silly stuff, just so it'll look good in the video. You know? You don't have to do that, but I will. But yeah, I digress. I think I was talking about buying dinner for this weapon in this very serious YouTube video for you to watch. But yeah, I played around with this weapon. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I hope you had a good time watching the video. There will be more. Next time, we will be using the Axe of Godfrey, another quality weapon. And that one was very fun too. And it's a great looking weapon as well. I might take it out on a date also, assuming that I'm able to maintain some sort of like open relationship status with the Bloodhound Fang. There's the charged R2. It's like 1200 damage. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time. Later, y'all.